Chris Greer says Xavien Howard, there could be a possible return. And see, it's getting messy. It's getting messy. Why did Chris Greer say Xavien Howard is a possible return? It's simple. Greer out here offering everybody money. He offered Robert Hunt money, but he lowballed him. He's told Xavien Howard, we want to keep you here, but you got to restructure and take a pay cut. X said no. Then he said, okay, go. I'm going to let you release you and let you go out there in the free market. And if you get what you want, bye. If you don't, we open to revisiting this. That's all this is about. Greer has to go in full shakedown mode up and down the roster. Why? Because he's trying to figure out how he can afford his future when the reality is there's only one player that you really got to be honest about. If you're honest about the one player, then you ain't worrying about the future. If you do the right thing about one player, you ain't in this situation for the future. Matter of fact, if you go get Michael Penix and you do what's right and trade Tua Tagovailoa like you should, or force him to play on his fifth-year option, then you ain't got to worry about the future at that point. You got the money and everything. And if he works out, then you bite the bullet. But right now, you trying to take it out on everybody else on the roster. Now, I ain't mad at what you're doing with Xavien Howard. I'm just saying this is the situation you put yourself in. You shouldn't have to be lowballing Robert Hunt. Robert Hunt is the epitome of what you want to re-sign for the Miami Dolphins to show. If we draft you, you do your job, you stay clean off the field, and you're a good role model, and you're a good team player, we want you here. And yet you want to lowball him, and now he's going to be hitting free agency. Shame on you. And now you're out here pinching pennies to hide another flaw of yours. Shame. Straight shame. And I'm sorry, I can't get behind that. So the Xavien Howard situation is just further proof. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand the X situation, but here we go again. You're shaking players down because of the situation you put us in. We shouldn't even have to worry about shaking Xavien Howard down. We should have already had a first-round pick. We should have been saving those millions of dollars we were paying him 2 years ago and had a young star on the team right now growing with the team. But instead, you kicked the can down the road with him to begin with. We should have never even been to this point. We should have never have even made it to this point with Xavien Howard. And I told all you Dolphin fans that we should have traded him, and y'all thought that I was the worst fan ever. Y'all thought, oh, why would you want to trade one of our best players? Because we're going through a rebuild, and you're going to be giving him top dollars while we're rebuilding. The only time you need big-time money players is when you're ready to win a Super Bowl. And last year was the only year we were ready, and we massively failed. And he continues to deal with growing injuries and all other kind of injuries, with drama off the field on top of that. We would have been in a better situation had we moved on in the past from this situation. And I see you, CB83, talk about you blame Flo. He drafted Noah and didn't work out. Stop that. At the end of the day, one man is responsible for the draft picks, and that's Chris Greer. If you want to be collaborative, like, ladies and gentlemen, let's make sense here, right? Even if Noah Igbenogany was what Flores wanted, right? It's the general manager's job to make sure that he makes the right deals. Everybody and their mama know that they reached for Noah Igbenogany and they could have got him later on, right? So you mean to tell me if Brian Flores said, oh, I want Jared Dokes in the first round, Chris Greer was going to do it? The 7th round pick that ain't even here anymore. If Chris Greer if Brian Flores said, I want Jared Dokes in the first round, was Chris Greer going to do it? No, he wasn't going to do it because it makes no sense. Because the general manager ain't going to allow something like that to happen. So even if Flores said, I like Noah Igbenogany, it was Chris Greer that decided to get him in the first round. Yeah, stop it. Stop it. It's on Chris Greer to make those draft picks. The coach has to tell him who he'd like and influence it, but the general manager got to live with the decision. He got to live with the decision. It's that simple. Anyway, let's get off of Xavien Howard. I'm done with that situation. I'm tired of going over and over and over telling y'all, see, this is what I was talking about, okay? All right, so Chris Greer says Jalen Waddle ain't going nowhere. He going to be here for a long time and blah, 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 blah. I agree. He better be. He better be because he's your future. But you also need to figure out how you're going to maintain him and Tyreek Hill on this roster 2 years from now. Or is the plan, what I've been telling y'all the plan is, Tyreek ain't going to be here 2 years from now. Because what team in the NFL is allocating over $60 million at the wide receiver position? Most teams don't even allocate more than 20. And here we are, the Dolphins today, allocating almost 45 plus. Today, we allocate almost $45 million at the wide receiver position. 20% of the roster. You think that we're going to be able to afford to allocate a new contract for Tua, taking up 20% of the roster, and then our receiving core taking up about 22% of the roster, just the receivers and the quarterback alone being 44% of the roster? That ain't happening. That's not happening. You add another 10% at the cornerback position. That's not happening. So at the end of the day, he's going to have to do Waddle's deal. He's going to pick up the fifth-year option soon, and then they're going to be trying to talk contract. But is Greer going to dig himself in a hole even further, ladies and gentlemen? What do I mean by that? Is Chris Greer about to say, hey, we picked up the fifth-year option, even though we're supposed to negotiate his contract and try to get him a long-term deal now, let's wait till next year. You notice Chris Greer keep kicking the can down the road on all these contracts later than he's supposed to because he wants to wait and see. And the sad part about it is he don't want to wait and see for the players. He's still waiting to see with Tua. Do y'all know that Tua's impacting a lot of other players' contract? Y'all may, oh no, I don't think that's it, TD. I'm telling you. The Hunt shouldn't have even got to this situation. We shouldn't even be here with Robert Hunt's situation right now. Jalen Waddle is going to need to get paid. It's y'all, you got to understand why Chris Greer keeps delaying these contracts. Christian Wilkins should have got paid last year. Why was the holdup? Because Chris Greer is trying to see what the direction of the team's going to be, but it's one person who determines the direction, and that's Tua. That's why everything is so fragile. Like, we got to see what he did. They couldn't get, Chris Greer is going to lowball until he know about that quarterback position. That's why he keep lowballing these players, trying to get them to extend. He had to take a Austin Jackson, who been hurt most of his career, who's played average for 4 years. He had to take that to get that deal done. He lucked out and got that done only because Austin Jackson took it because this was his only solid year. His rookie year was straight, but he got hurt. Then he kept getting banged up, and he wasn't playing well at all while being banged up. And then he just wasn't playing good, and all of a sudden he's playing good. Not like he's playing elite, not like he's playing great. He's just playing good enough to hold his position down. He ain't one of the better guys in the league. Let's get that straight now. Chris Greer is waiting to know about that position. That's why it's so hard to make these decisions long term. And what is it doing? It's taking him to the 9th hour and it's biting him. He said Christian Wilkins bet on himself and he won, which means Chris Greer lost. Connor Williams deserved the right to enter free agency. When he say they deserve the right to enter free agency, the reason why he particularly uses the word deserve is because he already gave him an offer They declined it, and they won because they balled out and they earned and they're worth more than what he offered. That's why they deserve. Same with Robert Hunt. Offered him a contract, turned it down. He deserves the right to enter free agency. Because what you need to understand is even if Chris Grier decided to make him the highest paid guard right now, he still deserves to enter free agency to make sure it's the highest. Chris Grier might even went back and said, hey, all right, let's give you the money you deserve. But no, now I deserve to see what other teams got to say, which puts you at a disadvantage. Because sometimes players enter free agency and get more than what they deserve or more than they thought they could. That's why for great players or players that have been good, that's valuable, free agency is a gold mine for them. Their projected increase is more when you hit the market because teams are trying to get you before anybody else, before the market dries up at a specific position. And I've heard several teams mention Robert Hunt as a nice piece to bring in. How do you okay, Christian Wilkins' money is way up there. I can understand that, but I just for the life of me cannot understand how you let Robert Hunt get out of hand. How could you lowball a guy who's proven himself since being a rookie? This wasn't no first-round pick. Robert Hunt wasn't no first-round pick, but he's proven himself to hold his own and play in both systems since a rookie and not get embarrassed. That's the type of player you want to keep on this team. That's the type of player you want to keep on this team. And I see the comment in the chat, Hunt isn't a McDaniel guy. Well, guess what? McDaniel ain't got no guys. Who's a McDaniel guy that's going to be here 3 years from now right now? Because guess what? At this rate, McDaniel won't even be here 3 years from now. At this rate, he won't even be here 3 years from now. Like two McDaniel guys on the whole roster. Really, there's like two McDaniel guys on the whole roster. Like A-Chain and Ingold. That's probably about it. And ain't no free agents. We talk about draft. Yeah, A-Chain and what's his name? Alec Ingold. Them about the only two McDaniel guys. Tell me who else is a McDaniel guy that they drafted out here balling and looking like a part of the future. The man ain't even had no draft picks to be saying a McDaniel guy. Everybody on his team better be his guy. If they sign Hunt, I'm going to come back to this video since you say the organization is lowballing him. They are. That's already been proven. They gave him an offer. Grier confirmed they offered him and he declined. That's what you call a lowball. Well, you might have a point. If they didn't lowball him, which they did, he just don't want to be in Miami then. It can only be one or the other, which is even worse. So I'm going to stick with they lowballed him and he know he can get more in the open market. I'm going to stick with that. That's my theory. But they did give him an offer and he turned it down. And he's earned the right to enter free agency. So hopefully that clears that up for you. Okay.